Welcome back to Axios House. I'm Niala Boodhoo, host of Axios' podcast, One Big Thing. And we're hosting these conversations on YouTube this week to give you an insider perspective into the World Economic Forum at Davos in Switzerland. I'm here with one of our managing editors, Axios' Alison Snyder. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Niala.
So you are a WEF OG. You have been coming to these for years, and your area is science. Can you just sort of explain, first of all, why and how many scientists and other academics, big thinkers, are here at the World Economic Forum?
Sure. So I've been coming for just a few years. I think this is my fourth time here. There are definitely a lot of scientists around speaking on panels. You'll see them, speaking at other events that are outside of WEF. And they run from everything from soil scientists all the way through to climate scientists, certainly AI researchers, public health researchers. And I think they come from multiple reasons. One, I think they're invited because a lot of the work that they are working on is on the cutting edge. So they eventually will become potentially business opportunities. They are really relevant to conversations in geopolitics around, for example, pandemics. A lot of the conversations here about AI governance, that's all, stems from the work of these scientists. And I think for them, part of it is, they're constantly looking for collaborators, looking for opportunities to not only collaborate with each other, collaborate with private sector, and then also public sector and, government funding. There's any number of reasons and ways in which they intersect. And they really are the sort of engines of economies.
So I think people would be interested in that, right? Because if you think about scientists as engines of economies, does that mean that they're sort of like at the table with CEOs? Are they also here for, as you said, for funding or for collaboration or for business opportunities or all of the above?
I think it's probably more to talk about their work, which has these big ramifications, right? And so like the soil scientists, one of the biggest problems that people will talk about here is food security. And so who do you go to look for solutions? Talking about climate change. This is where you go to the research to understand the problem and also to look at some of the mitigation. And I think I'd say the funding and the collaborators is sort of secondary to that.
So you are at dinners, you're in conversation with folks who are coming here to meet with you. What do you think, what is sort of and of course the big topic here is AI. What are you hearing about where we're at right now?
So definitely the big topic is AI. When you walk down the street, it's pretty much everywhere. And I think the other sort of theme of WEF is trust, rebuilding trust. And so there's a lot of discussion around trust in scientists and a lot of discussion around particularly in trust in AI. And so I was in an interesting conversation where, we talk about trust in AI, but also does that mean really trust in AI scientists? Because they're the ones who are building the AI. So those types of conversations.
Let's start with trust in AI first,
yes,
because I do want to get to the trust in scientists. Obviously, general trust in AI, and as we're looking at ChatGPT and generative AI, is a completely different thing as the world has experienced over the last year. What are scientists telling you about what they're trying to do in terms of making sure that trust relationship exists?
So, one of the big ways people talk about is understanding the sourcing of the information that's used to build the AI models. So if you're building a model around a particular, a particular problem or a particular, I'm thinking let's say climate change information, being able to say, okay, this is the source of this information. We're going to give it to you, but you can go back and look through. So that's one way. And I think also there was someone here at Axios House yesterday talking about from Gecko Robotics, talking about generating their own data, having robots that they build, that they operate, using that to generate their own data to then build their own models. So that's a level of, control or transparency and understanding how that's working that then can maybe potentially foster more trust in the machines.
And let's end on talking about trust in scientists, which has been such a huge issue. Yeah. What are you hearing? What are people talking about in that realm?
Yeah, it is a huge issue because scientists have historically, they've been among the more trusted bodies, or if you look across different institutions. I think you're beginning to see some differences emerge there. And so the Edelman Trust Barometer, which came out on Monday, I believe, one of the things that it looked at was trust in scientists and about how, there are political divides that are starting to emerge, obviously, and so yeah.
What are scientists here telling you about that? I imagine, are they aware of it? Are they talking about it? Or is there more of an attitude of, I'm going to let the science speak for itself, which I think has been part of the culture of science for some time?
Yeah, I think they're very aware of it, and I think a lot of people are very concerned about it.
Axios Managing Editor Alison Snyder, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to you for watching as well. You can follow all of our content here from Axios House in Davos on our Axios socials or on Axios.com, as well as my podcast, One Big Thing, which will be Davos themed. Up next in this seat, Axios publisher Nicholas Johnston.
Hello, I'm Nicholas Johnston, the publisher of Axios. Thanks for joining us. I'm here with Qualcomm CMO, Don McGuire. Don, great to see you in Davos again.
Great to see you.
As you're walking the snowy streets out here, what's on people's minds?
I think it's kind of AI everywhere. All right, a lot of AI conversations. I think that's on everybody's minds here at Davos this year.
AI so hot right now. Well, what is the zeitgeist around that?
Well, it's interesting. It's sort of similar to a lot of things that are going on right now in the world, and there seems to be sort of this polarized kind of point of view around AI. There's the kind of the fear, the job loss, and then there's the sort of the optimism around productivity, efficiency, creativity, and the future. So I think it's kind of a polarized sort of zeitgeist right now.
And in those conversations, where are you sitting?
Well, I'm an optimist by nature, and being one of the companies that's bringing AI to commercialization and deploying AI as we have for like last 10 to 15 years, running in the background. I think that the ability for AI to improve productivity, bring a new element to creativity, all those types of things are really the benefits and what we should be focusing on as we move through the technology evolution of it, and less about the potential downfalls.
Right. But as an AI optimist, how do you talk to the AI pessimist? Is this a gap that can be bridged?
I think it can be. I think, first of all, it's early. I think everyone just needs to kind of put down their swords. It's early. We're learning a lot. Like with any technology evolution or inflection point, there are things we can do to govern as we move through the development and the deployment of the technology, if everybody works together. So don't jump to conclusions. I think a lot of early data people are grabbing onto and then drawing conclusions where it's really too early yet. Because people are projecting or they're forecasting based on a limited set of information.
As an optimist then, I mean, maybe I know the answer to this question, but you should say it anyway. Do you think that gap will be bridged when you make those kinds of arguments that it's early, that you should wait? Do people sort of nod? Do you think that's a journey that can be achieved?
I think so. From what I'm hearing in the different conversations I've been having or speakerships that I've actually seen, and in the meetings that I've had with other people, I think people are seeing that data points are just data points. We kind of have to sort of take a pause and look to road mapping, right, for this new, and it's moving very fast. So I think that also scares people. But I think if we look to road mapping and everybody from all parts of the ecosystem, whether it's technology or regulatory, right, or just everyday people working together, I think we can kind of roadmap this through towards a positive conclusion.
I think we're sort of at the beginning of this journey. When we talked here in these snowy mountains last year, we were just at the start, a couple months into the AI journey. We're only a year in, but this isn't something that's going to be solved in 18 months, 24 months. How far ahead are you looking?
No, and like the reality is AI has been running in the background for a really long time, but it was thrusted to the forefront with Gen AI and with the likes of ChatGPT. It was kind of the press release for AI, so to speak, and it was all of a sudden on everyone's minds, right? And so I think that's what sort of started this. It's not a hype cycle because I think it's here to stay and it's moving really fast, and it's not something that's going to fizzle out after 6 or 8 months or 18 months. But I think that we have to get above the noise a little bit or beyond the noise a little bit, and then I think the work begins.
So, like before we wrap up here, tell me what's next when you hit the sidewalks again. What's on your mind?
I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of great conversations on the promenade as well as in the Congress. The theme for Davos this year is rebuilding trust. But I think that there's subcontext under that, and hearing a lot of conversations around both trust in people, trust in infrastructure,
trust in the robots that are coming,
and trust in the robots that are coming. And so you could apply that concept across the board.
That's Great. Well, Don, thanks for being here. This was a great conversation.
Good to see you.
Thanks for Qualcomm for making these conversations possible. And stick around. We've got more coming up.